YouTube, Amanda the Jedi here, and we are back for another episode of Did It Ruin My Childhood? So I'm pretty determined to make this into an actual series. I don't think it's gonna be a weekly series. I just decided to do this one like a week after I did the Power Rangers one because I saw both of these movies in the same weekend and figured that I might as well. Now, unintentionally, I have worn a shirt that kind of maybe ties into this a little bit because this is some kind of like bison, boar, buffalo type thing. We are going to be talking about Beauty and the Beast, the tale as old as time, and all of those other cheesy song lines, which has recently received its coveted Disney live-action remake. Joining the ranks of Cinderella, The Jungle Book, 101 Dalmatians, which was like, I don't know, like 10 years ahead, like 15 years ahead of its time, maybe? And then stuff like Maleficent. The 1991 animated classic has always been a fan favorite. People love Beauty and the Beast, but being as it's one of the favorites, it only made sense that Disney would get around to making a live action version, and much to the benefits of the entire world, we are blessed with the acting talents of Emma Watson playing the main character, the Beauty, Belle. And honestly, this is not even just a bias in that I am a massive Harry Potter fan, a massive Emma Watson fan. I think she's probably the best Hollywood choice for this character. I think that even Hermione as a character kind of exemplifies the same kind of qualities that Belle had in the original movie. And she looks the part. I don't know, there's everything about her. Like, I wasn't actually a massive Beauty and the Beast fan, which I know kind of destroys the whole premise of did it ruin my childhood, but it was a part of my childhood. And obviously a lot of these things can very easily taint the memories of your childhood just by being bad. So I know Beauty and the Beast, I watched it all the time as a kid. Let's just say that there were franchises I was more into, like Lion King's my jam, but Beauty and the Beast was a really good movie. And honestly, there are very few things in this world that Emma Watson doesn't make better. So I think that she, just to start off without even going into anything, any kind of detail at all, Emma Watson made this movie better because for one, she's a fantastic Belle, and two, she just makes things better by being there. So I guess the main thing we now have to address is, did it ruin my childhood and will it ruin yours? Now, as I kind of clarified, because I wasn't this like diehard Beauty and the Beast fan, I went into this with like lowered expectations, not really expecting anything super amazing, and knew that I probably wouldn't have been like devastated if they had messed something up. I knew that they were gonna have to make some kind of changes because obviously Disney movies from back in the day, they're really not that long, so they were obviously gonna have to add in some scenes, add in a little bit of flair to flesh out the movie, the storyline, to being more of a full rounded film. And obviously if you're a purist, if you're the type of person who was all like, I'm okay with them doing a live action movie as long as they follow everything step by step by step. So it's basically just a recreation of the original animated movie in live action, you might be a little bit upset because they took some creative licenses, they added a couple things in. I'm pretty sure they took some stuff from like the live action play that's been on Broadway. But for the most part, I think they stayed pretty true to the source material. They added some fun stuff in there, a little bit of flares to some of the scenes. Just, it was a very enjoyable movie. But again, if you are a purist, if you are just like the biggest type of Beauty and the Beast fan and you don't want anything added, you don't want added songs, you don't want anything different from the way it played out in the animated movies, you might have some issues with how this movie played out. But if we're just taking it at face value for what it is and just kind of an enjoyment factor, it was really good. The songs were really well done. It was choreographed fantastically. I think Emma Watson did a fantastic job with all the songs and the acting. I think Emma Watson did a really good job considering for most of the movie she was playing against a CG character, basically, you know, like clearly there wasn't somebody in a beast suit. Unfortunately, that could have made things easier for her, but I think she did a great job. I never really felt like the Beast was fake. I didn't feel like she was trying to act, and like, I mean, everything going on around her is CG too. You gotta think, she's talking to like candlesticks, she's talking to like clocks on the ground and stuff. I think she did a very, very good job considering pretty much everything she had to interact with would have been CG. The more I'm thinking about that, the more I'm impressed. Good job, Emma. My goodness, you are a treasure. So basically the big thing is that I had fun watching it. I had no trouble sitting through it. I think that the stuff that they added was kind of like a nice touch. It added a little bit more of a background story to some of the stuff that, you know, would have happened to Belle, her upbringing, and her family. Just kind of adds like a little bit more detail. Again, that might upset some people who are purists because I've been like that. I'm not necessarily super bad now, but when I was younger, you want things the way they're supposed to be. You don't want them to go off course. And, you know, kind of the older you get, you realize, you know, sometimes going off book, adding a little bit of things here and there, as long as it's not like gratuitous and changes the overall message of the original, really isn't that bad, and sometimes it's actually kind of nice. Power Rangers actually did the same thing, and I really enjoyed it. So again, I think that all the actors did a really good job. I thought that the added songs were pretty good. Obviously, the really big ones that everybody knows were done like super, super well. Like the Gaston song was fantastic. They added a lot of like really nice stuff into that whole scene in general, which was really funny. Just a lot of little moments, like LeFou was really, really funny. He was a fantastic character. Really glad that they kind of portrayed him a little bit better in this. All of like the really serious stuff was dealt with well. The people who had to play all of the inanimate objects did like a pretty good job. I don't really know what their process was for filming that. I'm assuming it was a lot of voiceovers, people standing in a room like this, just kind of yelling at microphones and stuff. They all did really good with their jobs too, considering they were also probably not really interacting with someone in front of them to like the extent that the movie would have called for. Any of the songs from the original movie were dealt with really well. The choreography of those scenes were also just, in my opinion, done really well. It flowed very nicely. The opening scene was very good. Everything that they really did was it was great. Like I remember when I watched La La Land, which I ended up loving, the opening musical scene almost threw me off. It actually took me like 2 times to actually sit down and watch La La Land, because that opening scene I would just be like, I'm not in the right mental place for this, because you just don't know what kind of movie you're getting into. This one, I feel like it set the right tone for the movie right from the beginning. And it was a good time. It was a good magical adventure. I know it's not getting like stellar, amazing reviews, but in terms of one of these live action remakes, I think that they did a really good job with it. I think they cast it really well. Like I said, I legitimately believe that Emma Watson was the best actress they could have chosen for this role. Actually, I'm gonna be completely honest, if it had been an unknown actress in Beauty and the Beast, probably wouldn't have gone to see it. And I know that might make me terrible, but I love Harry Potter, and therefore I love Emma Watson. Is that so wrong? She is a treasure the world does not deserve. So even though a lot of people might only be seeing it because of her, don't think that she's the only actor carrying the film. Everybody does their job very, very well. She just happens to really embody the character that she was cast to play. But I feel like everybody did a really good job with their roles in that movie. So if you guys had like any hesitancy to see that, please feel free to do so. Obviously, if you guys weren't at all a fan of the original cartoon, like don't go see this. There's really no reason why you would. But if you did like the original, or if you happened to watch it when you were a kid, this one's at least worth a watch. I'm not necessarily saying go out and run and see it right now. You know, maybe wait for it to pop up on Netflix or something like that. But it was a really enjoyable movie. I think it's worth a watch. If you guys are a fan of Disney movies, it's definitely enjoyable. I don't think it does anything to tarnish the memory of the original. I think it's just kind of a nice addition to the overall series, kind of brings some attention back to some of those old Disney classics, which is always a good thing to do. Again, it did not ruin my childhood. Did it ruin yours? I have no idea. Beauty and the Beast, presumably still in theaters worldwide, unless you live somewheres that either has a really small theater that might have got rid of it already, but I can't imagine it because I think it's still probably one of the biggest things going on right now. But if so, I'm sure it'll be on DVD pretty soon, or Blu-ray, or other means of technology sourced information for you to get your movies on. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic evening. This is the real beast right here. You're a little bastard. I love you though.